In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for me?
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red.
Gone are the days of Pons and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot. Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. This is Best Gen, the show where nerds complain about nerdy things. It's a very original premise, I know. The show's called Best Gen because we all believe that we are from the best generation, but we are very accepting of everyone. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter when you were born, just as long as you can acknowledge that those water-based ring toss games were the best. You guys remember those?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
seeing.
you'd push the button and it would just shoot air into you'd have to like land the hoops on the loop.
Try and get the rings on the.
I was good at those.
That was the days before DVD players in cars on road trips. Yeah, before video games. You just take those on the road trip and it was that and a book the whole time. Doesn't matter how long, if it was like 3 hours or 18 hours in the car.
Oh,
that's what you had.
A simpler time. Martina says in the chat those things made her angry.
They also did that too. And then you throw them and they'd start leaking everywhere, and then your parents would get mad.
Well, we see our dedicated viewer Jacob in the chat, so welcome. You're welcome. Anyone's welcome to chat. We'll try and respond to your questions and comments. Today's episode, we are talking about Moon Knight, episode 1, and Raised by Wolves, season 1, episode 6. Correct?
Correct.
Everyone did their homework. This is basically book club, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. You could say that.
But more fun because there's no books.
Come on now.
Hey,
I love books.
You're a booktuber. You be careful.
I know.
Watch your mouth.
I'm kind of a booktuber. We're still figuring out our identities on this channel. No, I love books. I'm just bad at reading them because I have dyslexia. So, yes, introducing tonight's guests. We have my brother David, who's my brother, and my friend Tanner, who has been on the show for a long time. Jared, my cousin Jared, won't be able to join us today, and who knows if Corwin shows up because he comes and goes as he pleases.
Hey, it's hard out there on the streets.
How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
I am doing okay.
I am currently fighting off a headache, but I can kind of feel it going away. So we're in for a good time. Raising Cane's. I haven't gotten there yet. Let's just jump right into it. You guys want to talk about some Moon Knight?
Let's do it.
Sure thing.
Because we got a lot to cover today. And I don't want this stream to last 5 hours. So what do you guys think about Moon Knight?
I really, really liked Moon Knight. I went into this not knowing a whole lot about the character. I've seen him in comics before, and basically all I knew was his origin, and that he had multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder, whatever you call it these days.
Right.
That was like all that I knew. He got his powers from some Egyptian god or something. But yeah, it was really, really good. I thought the acting was fantastic.
It's Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac was just so good. Like some of the scenes in particular, you could just the emotion that he was giving on his face. It was just so good. And then we talk a lot about, especially in Boba Fett, where they were telling, not showing, and this
is the opposite of that.
Exact opposite. There were so many narrative moments that were just
wordless, completely wordless. Yeah,
and it was so beautiful. It was so good. But anyways, we can get into details later. But I'm really hopeful for this show. Hope they can keep it up because it looks promising. It looks promising. So
yeah, I'm in a similar boat as you, David. Moon Knight's one of the few comic book characters that I haven't read any comics for, so I didn't know anything about him. As you guys know, I am cautiously apprehensive going into this because I haven't liked any of the Marvel Disney Plus shows yet. They all started off real good for me and then just petered off at the end, and I ended up hating every single one of them. So I'm scared that this show will do the same, but I really liked this episode too. What about you, Tanner?
I like it. And I'm hoping that the fact that it's only 6 episodes long
they won't have time to ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Boba Fett was only 8, right? They had plenty of time to ruin that.
It was 6.
Yeah.
And there were 2. The thing is, I'm hoping with someone like Oscar Isaac, and then knowing there's a limited amount of time to tell the story, that it'll actually be they actually took the time to do it. Because thinking of the other Marvel shows, there were a couple of episodes of Loki where I was like, all right,
yeah,
come on. There was a lot of,
and Loki was a really short runtime too.
Yeah.
Was that 8 episodes?
I don't know.
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Yeah.
But
that was...
There's a lot of them sitting in talk. The episode where they were on the train. There were 6 episodes of
there were 6.
Right. Only 6? I thought there were more than 6.
No, there were 6.
Wow.
Maybe
there was filler in Loki, which is pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's off to a good start. I mean, when you start the very first scene of your show with your villain
putting glass
into his shoes, that's and not
saying anything,
him monologuing about why he's doing it, just letting it be.
It was a good cold open.
I read an article.
It was just enough what's going on here, a lot, very ambiguous but also purposeful, and you're like, okay, this is gonna be the bad guy, I assume. And I was even Googling, is this a tradition somewhere? Putting glass in your shoes? I did a lot of Googling. David, you were going to say something.
Well, I just read an article that the actor, Ethan Hawke, that plays the villain, he came up with that scene by himself. That wasn't planned as part of the thing. And he was talking with the director and kind of brainstorming kind of motivations and kind of origins, I guess, for the character. And he came up with that scene and he said, what if we do this? And he said, that's really good. Let's do it. In fact, I like it so much, it's going to be the opening shot of the show. And that was great.
It was good. And weird. And it just makes you, it brings up a lot of questions.
For sure.
A lot of people in the chat are saying they hope they don't make the show too funny, like humorous or cute, which I agree would kind of ruin the vibe that they've set up in episode 1. Like there is a little bit of humor with the not knowing where he is, but
yes, Steven's character has.
But the entire time there was an overtone of fear during that, so like it was appropriate. I think if they just do jokes, it's quickly gonna not be good.
Yeah, and there's a time and a place for humor, and I think they can put in some subtle humor in this show in the same way that George Lucas era Star Wars or Brandon Fraser's Mummy puts in a couple quips of humor, but it's a more serious tones throughout. So
and it usually adds to the scene and not takes
exactly away. Yeah.
Do we want to break it down beat by beat, or kind of just follow
sure.
that we're on?
I will say that the humor in this episode was all like fish out of water humor. It was all like disassociation, like, wait, what is going on? And that's where the comedy came from. So it starts off with glass and shoes, and then you're introduced. It like the whole like first 20 minutes is like there's no words. Or I guess like 10 minutes, right? So you're introduced to the villain.
Yeah.
Wordlessly, just all visual storytelling, and then they do the same thing for the main character with showing his sleeping habits.
Yeah, insomnia prevention, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's shackled to his bed. He has sand around his bed and tape on the door. Was there another thing?
I think that was it.
But yeah, it was cool to see him just going through his routine.
Yeah, it was really good, and his the way he woke up, it was just I don't know, just the look on his face said everything when he was he doesn't know what's going on.
Well, and he pulls the tape down from the door, and you see like the relief in his face, and you're like, okay, that's cool.
yeah, it's really good. But then later he goes on his thing and he loses 2 days of his life, and he's back in the room shackled with tape on the door.
Yeah,
So it's like
it didn't work very well,
obviously.
But it's a good way to show his psyche and his inner turmoil, and
And he says it doesn't work in the beginning too, because at least he lets the audience know, because he says, "Hey, I was in bed or whatever, but I feel like I've been hit by a train."
That was a really good note, where hinting in the future, like I wake up every morning feeling like I've been hit by a truck. He probably has been hit by a truck like every night, right? So, and I mean, his mom's definitely like dead, right? The person he's calling is not his mother, because he keeps leaving her messages. There's obviously something going on there.
Yeah, they're setting something up there for sure.
Yeah, I'm betting she passed away years ago, and he just still calls her phone and leaves her voicemails every day. But that's just my.
Or it's like his therapist, and he doesn't realize
something.
It.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Sorry.
Someone had a kid fall down somewhere. There was a scene later. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but we'll come back. I really liked how this was all done with very little dialogue, and when there was dialogue, it wasn't talking about it. It was clues, like he drops a hint talking to his mom about what's going on, and he's not like just actually addressing the issue, but it's just context clues with the visual storytelling and the dialogue, which is like ancillary. There was a point later on when he's talking to the statue guy where I thought they were going to ruin it and just explain everything that they just did, but it was actually a good scene because it gave more information. It gave kind of like the why. He's like, sometimes I'll wake up and I just don't know how I got there. And so it wasn't just, hey, I have insomnia, like we already knew. It was giving more information.
Yeah.
And so I because I was worried when he started doing that. I was like, oh no, they did it so well, and now they're going to ruin it. But they didn't. It was good.
Yeah, that scene was also really good too, because you get the sense that he's been coming back and talking to that guy for a long time because he doesn't have any friends, and he's someone that'll just sit there and listen. Right?
That's who he's been calling on the phone, and that's why he doesn't answer, because it's a statue.
Yeah, but that was really, really good.
And also that moment also was good characterization as well, because that's the only person that'll listen to his problems, and also I like
say no.
Yeah, I also liked how when the people came and were like, "Oh, can you take a picture?" He was like, "Hey, make sure you leave a tip," and he was looking out for the guy too. So
but I'm glad you brought that up, Tanner, because throughout the rest of the episode, everyone else he talks to, his boss at the museum doesn't care about him, doesn't care about his opinions. The security guard or whatever doesn't even know his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a guy that it doesn't have anyone that's his friend, and he's just trying to survive and make it in the world and have relationships. It's just not working for the guy. But it's so well done.
Let's talk about his boss, because that's the next scene, right? He goes to work. She felt kind of comical to me. Like
I agree, yeah. Like she's
way over the top
or something. But like, why would she not care about accuracy?
Unnecessarily mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I get what they're going for, but it's like, she feels like over the
Have you guys seen the IT Crowd?
Oh yeah.
When the girl weasels her way into being the manager of IT, and then she is acting like she's in charge when she doesn't know anything. That was the vibe that I got there.
Yeah, but in this case, she actually was in charge.
Right.
Yeah. So it didn't make sense to overcompensate. She was just being mean for.
I honestly, I don't know how museums work. Maybe she was just the manager of guest relations and the gift shop, and not the actual exhibits themselves. But yeah, she was a jerk.
Yeah. I mean, I get what they're going for. They want to isolate him, but it was just a little bit much.
Yeah.
I just thought it was ridiculous that she didn't care about the poster being accurate. She's at a museum. That's what they do.
Yeah, that's also that part wasn't as much, because I felt like what can she do at that point? It's like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm not gonna go and change the poster though.
That's
and that scene felt like he's done this a lot, and she's just tired of it. But the scenes before that, where she's just being a jerk, I was like, I don't like that. So then is that the scene where he talks to the cute girl and gets a date?
Yes.
Or is that the next? Is that happen later?
We're gonna meet. We're still on for Friday, right?
And he's confused.
The date has already been made.
Right.
So that's something that I hope they explain later, because so he's got these split personalities, right?
Right. Spoilers.
You got Steven and Mark, right? But
yes, Steven is the main character, and then Mark is the guy who gets girls.
Yeah. But
I'm assuming there's more than one too, right? It's not. There's going to be
maybe. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know a lot about the character, so there may be more.
Is the Moon Knight character a different character? Well, we know that there's a different voice too, because there's Steven Mark, and there's also a voice talking to him.
There is another voice that sounded a lot like Liam Neeson. I didn't look it up. I don't know who played that voice, but yeah, it sounded a lot like Liam Neeson to me. But I think that's the Egyptian god that was talking to him.
Yeah.
But it could be a different.
And that's different from Mark.
Different from Mark, I think. But
so
at
the end of the episode, when he gets the costume, is that's not Mark either, right?
I think. Well, it made it sound like that was Mark, because he was talking to him in the mirror and said, "Give me control," but then he turns into
sounded like Mark
persona.
Yeah. So does he actually change clothes?
No,
or is it just a representation of the spirit that's controlling him?
I think it's just exactly that.
Because is it that's just the audience? That's how he sees himself. Because the scenes where he's, and we're skipping ahead a little bit too, the scenes where he's running from Ethan Hawke, who I don't remember the guy's name, but where the scene where
villain?
he's the scene where
Arthur, his name was Arthur.
The scene where he's keeps swapping in and out. I'm assuming like they don't see him change into his costume each time, right?
I don't know. See, that's something that I would like to know, because it seems like there's two main personalities, Steven and Mark. But then when we transform into Mark, it's the Moon Knight persona. But obviously, it's not. Well, that's not all the time.
The first time that you see it, though, is when he falls out of the building, which was that was really clever how they did that. He wakes up in the grass and his jaw's dislocated.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and there's people in the window and he waves at them and then they shoot at him.
Yeah.
So that tells me that he was probably in Mark's persona and his clothes don't change. So I think because they recognized him as the same person.
I think the Moon Knight costume comes on purpose. And based on what we saw at the end of the episode, usually it's when he's dealing with supernatural things. Otherwise, he's just being kind of a Jason Bourne.
The way I'm thinking of it in my head is that Steven and Mark are the two personas, and Mark is the one specifically that has the supernatural powers from the Egyptian god. So Mark can summon those powers, but of course Steven doesn't know anything about them.
My theory is that he was just a regular guy and then accidentally got Egyptian god powers, but it was so traumatizing that it split his personality up. So he has different lives and they're just regular people. And then when the god takes over, he turns into Moon Knight. Or maybe when all of the personalities merge. Because at that moment, he was talking to him, the other personality. And so when they come together, they turn into Moon Knight. I don't know. Because Mark seems a lot more capable than Steven, right? He can talk to women, right? And he knows how to keep secrets because he's hiding the phone in the apartment.
Yep.
And so he's aware of Steven, but Steven wasn't aware of Mark.
He also obviously, re-strapped himself into the bed and taped the door down when he
bought a new goldfish.
Yeah.
Which is that part didn't make sense because Steven's going to realize he lost 2 days. Getting a new goldfish isn't going to help a lot with that situation, right?
I didn't quite understand what they were trying to do with the goldfish. That was a little bit confusing.
Well, I liked where it was. It just hasn't. If they didn't make 100% sense unless they try and explain it later.
Yeah. So
because I like it was like he was trying to cover up for the lost time, but then 2 days he's going to know.
But I really do like the format of this first episode. We'll see if they continue it. I don't think they're going to, but
I think it would be impossible to continue.
Yeah,
this way.
Because we've got to see what Moon Knight
for
does.
episode 1, it was fantastic.
It was brilliant, just following Steven. Yeah, we just cut out everything else. You have no idea,
and you just have to fill in the pieces of what happened in between.
And the audience the audience is figuring out what's happening at the same time that Steven is.
Yes,
it was really, really good.
It was executed really well. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. So let's see what. Yeah. So Arthur is the name of the cult leader.
Yeah.
With glass in his sandals and that scale tattoo. And he mentioned he was working for an Egyptian god Amit.
Amit, yes.
And then I think the
sounds like he's trying to release the god or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then Moon Knight is getting his powers from some other god. I don't know if they've said yet.
I don't think they have.
But it seems to be a different force than that other Egyptian god that the cultist is working for.
So far, I think it's a really intriguing premises. It's a really intriguing premise. It brings up a lot of questions, which I hope they answer and don't just gloss over. Like, I'm really interested in the mechanics and I want to know how it works.
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about that awesome car chase scene?
Yeah, but before that, so he gets a date, and then he wakes up in the grass, and they start shooting at him. That was a great reveal. But before the car chase scene, he meets the bad guy, and apparently this whole village, it's like a cult, right? Everyone in this village is involved, and he judges he judges the first guy, and then he judges the old lady, and her soul gets sucked out.
Yeah,
with the little scale thing.
They referred to him as Pharaoh, which
did they? I missed that.
I believe so. Which
as the bad guy?
Yeah. So
Okay.
like the people in his cult, they referred to him as Pharaoh.
I missed that. That's cool.
I liked the little pendulum thing, the little judgy. I thought that the animated tattoo looked a little ridiculous.
I agree, yeah. But
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a small complaint. It's
the whole interaction with them, holding your hands and rocking the cane back and forth, and then it
was cool.
The tattoo, it was cool. It was a little bit weird, but I don't know. It was all right. We'll see where that goes.
And then this to go back to what I was saying before, in regards to the mechanics of it, we see in this specific scene he's jumping between the two characters, right? Like one of the guys grabs him, and then he blacks out, and they're all dead. And the bad guy is looking at him, confused. So that to me says like they don't see the costume change; they just saw the change in personality. Because if like they see change into a superhero, like they would have I feel like you'd have a different reaction to that.
Maybe
because you saw the bad guy like, what's this?
Well, like I said though, maybe he doesn't change into that all the time. So he switched into Mark, and Mark
if it's an intentional
beat him up on him. But it wasn't until the end that he was fighting that werewolf ghoul thing.
Yeah, it could be like a Green Lantern where you can just like paint
summon it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But in that scene specifically, like it read to me like the bad guy just saw a regular person turn into kung fu regular person and then back into idiot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's a car chase scene. What did you want to say?
Well, I just thought the car chase
cool.
It was awesome. It was handled really well. I loved jumping back and forth, and every time he came back to, he was in a more ridiculous position, driving the car backwards. But that scene with the gun, he just wakes up and he's like, "What?" He drops it. It's just, I don't know. His acting, Oscar Isaac is acting.
It was good.
So good.
It actually was reminiscent of, and I've talked about this before, of Conspiracy Theory, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yes, that's a good movie.
The scene
underrated.
The scene where he's tortured. He's also on drugs. They pump him full of drugs. And they torture him and
bites his nose.
To torture him, they tape open his eyelids and flash a strobe light in his face. And he just starts tripping. And so like it's this terrifying scene where he's running, but it's also hilarious at the same time because of the way he's acting, but it's also believable. And that this scene reminded me of that.
That's a good
similar call. Acted in a similar way of like, this is scary, but also funny at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. Jacob Ironside in the chat said it's a jackal, and that makes a lot more sense for the
scale thing.
No, the creature at the end, the werewolf.
Oh, that Jesus. Yes. Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
I wanted the car chase scene when you guys brought up the humor. I kind of wanted to talk about that, where when "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" played.
Oh yes. Yeah, that was good.
Initially, I was like, "Oh, are they just trying to copy Guardians of the Galaxy?"
No.
But then I thought about it. Oh no, because he keeps waking up.
Keeps waking up.
Yeah, and I was like, okay,
yeah, it was good.
All right.
Now that's one thing I really, really like the music in this show. I mean, that case was, tongue in cheek, going into the theme, but and
the score's good too.
It worked for that scene, but yeah, the regular score was really, really good, like head and shoulders above Boba Fett.
It's Egyptian. That'll come up later. We'll talk about it.
But yeah, I really love the whole car chase scene, just following Steven and cutting out everything from Mark. It was just done brilliantly.
Driving backwards bothers me a little bit, though.
Yeah,
that's a trope that I hate in all movies.
I agree.
And it's done all the time. Cars have gears, okay?
Yeah.
And when you're going forward, you can go into higher gears and go faster. When you're going backwards, there's only one gear, and you go real slow. And they do it all the time in movies, and they do a car chase scene where they turn backwards, and they're going just as fast as they were when they were like that can't work. Or they'll have one guy going backwards and the other guy going forwards, and they're keeping up with it. You're like, what? But
yeah,
that's just a personal pet peeve. It worked in this scene.
I know, Alan, you really like Baby Driver. Do they do that ever in Baby Driver?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a scene where they do a lot of spinning, but I don't think there's ever driving backwards. I'll rewatch it.
Drifting is different than driving backwards.
Yes,
yeah.
If I remember correctly, they're going down like switchbacks, and then was it like
that's why the logs?
Oh yeah, it was the logs that came down. I like that they kind of kept that consistency.
Yeah,
in the environment,
because you'd forgot. Well, and it was a callback too, because you'd forgotten about it.
Yeah,
but they're going, and then they come back. And you're like, oh, that's a little attention to detail. I don't know if it would be physically possible. I think the logs will get there first.
They probably would have been there first. Yeah,
but it's fine.
But just small things like that make me hopeful about the series going forward. Is that there's attention to details, and also like they didn't just pick a random action song or something. They picked "Wake Me Up Before You Go" for a specific reason, and it fits thematically with what's going on.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I think this show is in good hands.
It's promising, for sure.
Because I also saw it. I'm pretty sure Oscar Isaac was listed as an executive producer.
Oh, yeah,
I think you might be right.
And he's a man whose craft I respect the heck out of, and I think he cares about what he's doing.
I agree. Although executive producer just means he paid for it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have any say in what goes on.
I mean, executive producers have more say than regular producers, but it's the director that's really in charge.
I found when actors that are acting in something that they also executive produce, they usually have a more involved.
You're right.
Breaking Bad.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but the example I thought of is the later seasons of The Office. Rainn Wilson is an executive producer, and there's a lot more focus on Dwight in those later seasons. So,
yeah, they're also not as good as the
earlier
seasons, though. That might not be a good example.
But
you're really selling it.
Yeah.
My point being, Rainn Wilson, is investing money to be an executive
into something he cares about,
and his character has more screen time.
You're right. It shows that they're invested in the storytelling and the characters and show and everything. So, yeah, it's good to see.
So he gets away and then tries to pretend like nothing happened. This bothered me a little bit. Okay, he goes to the restaurant to go on his date, and he doesn't realize because he wakes up and thinks it's a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he goes on a restaurant and he tells the waiter to give him the best meat. And the waiter says, "Okay, I'll get you a well-done steak."
Yeah, that part bothered me too.
What?
I knew you were going to have beef with that.
Oh, come on, David.
Okay,
I loved his.
I was mad at the show. Now I'm just mad at you, David.
You're welcome.
Well, you can.
Oh, don't do me like that. Don't put me on the bottom tier.
Your camera's darker though. It's more aesthetic this way.
Yeah, it's fine. I need to figure out the lighting.
Every single time, wherever you sit, I don't care. There's always a bright light behind you. So the focus.
It's the way
always going in.
I have these weird IKEA lights.
Oh, that's awful.
That are like little spotlights.
Yeah.
And I'm renting an apartment, so I can't really like change anything. So,
but yeah, that part bothered me too. That he told him he's gonna get a well done steak. Like, no. But everything else though, he's like it was established before that he's a vegan, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you gonna go at a steakhouse? But he's just like, screw it, just give me a steak.
I don't know. I'll do anything for a girl, right?
Yeah. But I thought that was really good.
This girl's gonna go out with me. I don't have to be vegan.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really good. Resignation of his I don't know, of his life, of his anything.
The bird skull head is Kenoshu,
Egyptian moon god. Okay.
I need to study up on my Egyptian mythology, but I teach a mythology elective, and I really focused on Greek and Norse myths, but I got a little bit of Egyptian. And I was gonna say, your boy Amit is not the one that does the judging in Egyptian mythology. Amit is there to devour the hearts of the unworthy.
Well,
but doesn't pass judgment.
Maybe the bad guy's lying to the people.
Yeah. Oh, you think he would
do
that?
Well, because the old lady did kind of get devoured. And
yes.
The first guy was a strong guy. And then the second was an old lady who's probably not very useful and unworthy.
Oh.
So interesting.
Maybe you're on a... I don't know. Maybe that's on purpose.
Someone would do that to the people that...
Just go on the internet and lie?
Yeah, that's interesting. I love Egyptian mythology, but I don't know a whole lot. It basically consists of, the Mummy franchise and Laura Croft,
A scholar in our midst.
Yes.
You're counting Laura Croft too?
Yeah, there's some great Laura Croft in the Temple of Osiris. It's a good puzzle video game. I played through that with my wife. It was fun.
I got into Egyptian mythology because of the Clue Finders computer game series.
Yes, that was good too.
Point and click educational games.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's basically the whole episode. The bad guy shows up at his work and then sicks a dog on him. And
hold on. Before that, we skipped my favorite scene when he finds the cell phone.
Oh yeah.
I think that scene where it happens right after he gets back from the date. I think that scene is my favorite scene of the show because of the narrative storytelling.
It wasn't hit very well though. The panel was still, it was askew.
You're right, it was askew, but just by looking around, like you see the scratches on the floor.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to tell you what's going on. You know what's going on. Yeah. He moves it exactly to where it stops. He's able to reach the cell phone. I don't know. It was just executed so well, and there's just confusion on his face following up the emotional episode at the restaurant. It was just beautiful storytelling.
It's interesting to me that Mark clearly knows about the alter ego, and Steven's the only one in the dark.
Yes,
I'm curious to see if they explain that, but it's interesting.
I think that that's definitely it feels like Steven, they may have created him to be to
hide
and to be,
he's kept in the dark on purpose.
Yes. Yeah. So
they can lay low. Could be it. Yeah, that could be. Or it could be like the original person's defense mechanism for having this happen to him, like his mind fractured, and so he creates Steven to protect himself of some kind of innocence where he can forget what happened.
Yeah,
it's possible.
It'll be interesting to see, if he had this dissociative identity disorder before he got these powers, or if
if the powers caused it.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm leaning towards the second. I think the powers caused this.
I think that would be cooler if that happened, but
because otherwise he would have figured it out earlier, I think.
Yeah,
and because what in the conversation he has, he's talking about it like it's insomnia, not like if it had been around his whole life, some doctor would have told him that he's got dissociative.
That's
identity,
true.
Whatever.
Yeah. But then again, if you live alone and only talk to your mom on the cell phone, leaving voicemails, who?
But you can't put the cart before the horse. He probably lives alone because of this stuff, not the other way around.
True.
So,
but he could be kept in the dark if most of the time that he transforms into Mark is at night.
And Mark's trying to keep it a secret from him.
Yeah.
Which is,
I don't know.
That's a great concept to try and hide from your other personality.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I hope it's justified. I hope it's explained because it's intriguing for sure.
Yeah. Things like this are really interesting. Brandon Sanderson wrote a series of
which I
short
haven't
novellas.
read yet, the Legion.
They're really good. They're not the best narratively, but it's a really fun concept.
They were just short stories.
They were, right? and then he wrote up one longer novel to kind of tie them together. But yeah, they're really fun. It just explores the idea of multiple personalities being a superpower kind of thing.
Jacob knows about the Egyptian gods from Stargate. Yeah,
nice.
That's a good show. The movie's good, and I started watching the TV show.
Which movie? There's like 3 of them.
There was a movie that launched the series.
Yeah.
And then the TV show, and then there's some follow-up movies. But I got into it a little bit. I don't think I finished season 1, and I don't have Netflix anymore, so I haven't watched it in a while. But it's a good show.
To answer Jacob's question, there's not a specifically
an Egyptian god of lies.
An Egyptian god of lies. I mean, I'm kind of just reminding myself on Wikipedia, but Set is typically the evil god in the Egyptian. Yeah. The one that's aiming for the destruction of the world or of humans. Yeah.
Pretty sure he's the bad guy in Stargate.
You might be. I haven't seen Stargate. I'm pretty sure he was the bad guy in Clue Finders.
Yeah.
Grades 5 through 6.
Okay.
That's good.
So Moon Knight, the bad guy shows up at his work and is surprised they gave him his actual name, and then they make an Avatar joke, which was really funny.
Yes.
You mean the anime, not the blue people?
Not the blue people. That was so good.
And then he changes into Moon Knight.
Yeah. One more thing when he's being hunted down by this jackal or whatever. There was lots of shots throughout the show, but especially in this last scene about duality. There's lots of scenes in mirrors and reflections. And then there's lots of statues.
When he's walking through the museum, there's a shot where he walks past a piece of glass, and then he walks away, and his reflection's still there.
Yes, there's that too. But even in the sculptures there's one time he walks in front of a statue that the front side of his face is broken off. It's just like half a face, and he walks behind it. It's like
I didn't catch that shot.
Split halves or whatever. And then there's several statues. There's another statue of some figure that's like being split apart into different spots. And it's just little subtle things that they put in there that he's walking around these statues and stuff. Go back and watch it because there's a lot.
I think I will. The last scene there was shot very well. And reflections are actually a thing. There was a scene
where he's in the bathroom. You're talking about where he's talking to himself.
Yeah, well, there's that, and that's obvious. But like when he's talking to the statue street performer, there's also a shot there of
in the puddle
and the reflection below him.
That was a good shot. Yeah,
I've noticed a lot of directors are really liking shooting reflections in a lot of stuff.
That's good.
Like in the Suicide Squad, there's a
with the helmet.
Yeah, there's the helmet sequence. I won't say any more if I don't want to spoil anything for anyone.
Have you seen the famous scene from Contact? I think
that the one where she runs into the mirror.
Oh, that shot is
so good,
mind-blowingly good.
Yeah. You have to watch that several times. It's like, wait, what?
And
what?
even after they show you how they filmed it, it still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's wild.
She's running down the hallway it's like a huge tracking shot, and then it comes out of a mirror, and you see her in the frame at the same time. It's like that's the perfect mirror shot.
Yeah, it's so
good.
With
With that last scene of Moon Knight, though, I liked that with the Jackal, they kept it out of frame and they just focused on Steven reacting to it.
Yeah, don't show the bad guys.
And
don't show the monsters as much.
And it added a level of terror that would have been there if it had been like, oh, the Jackal drops down and roars, and then it's like, and then they run.
Your imagination can do a lot more than CGI can.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so there was one shot where he's like up against a display case and the monster's jumping at him, and you just barely get like a glimpse of the like. There's so much going on in the background of the.
That was a thing too. When I think it's the same shot you're talking about. There was that statue of some two halves being ripped apart or whatever, and as you pan across it, you get the reflection of the monster in the glass just for like a split second.
Yeah, I gotta go back.
It was really good.
But just little things in the filmmaking, it's kind of obvious that I would dare say there's some more care going into this than some of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Than a lot of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, because the other Marvel shows felt like, just like blockbuster popcorn fare. It's like the story's interesting and the characters are fun, but there's
no cinematography
but there's not a whole lot of cinematography and like lots of CGI, and that's
it's usually just reverse shot when people are talking to each other.
But here it feels like there's more going on. There's more thought being put into it.
Absolutely.
That was my biggest complaint about the new Spider-Man movie, which I really liked, but the action was just so stale. The cinematography was just not involved.
Yep, it's hard to choreograph fight scenes with that many characters. But
if you go back and watch the Sam Raimi films, he cares about cinematography.
Yes.
He cares about where the camera is.
The train fight with Doc Octopus is like,
and it shot super well. And most of the Marvel MCU don't have good cameramen, or at least cameramen who have free reign to be good.
I think the cameramen just point where they're told and shoot the camera, but yeah.
Jacob says they still have 5 more episodes to get it wrong. And that's exactly where I'm sitting. Like, this episode was really good, but I also really liked the starts of all the other Marvel TV shows, and by the end, I was just like, "Oh, this is dumb."
Yeah, I think Loki was probably the best out of the 3 they've done, but it was just so disappointing at the end.
I would put WandaVision up.
Yeah, I would say WandaVision was the best. The ending was bad. It wasn't as offensive as the other endings.
That's probably true.
It was just the ending to WandaVision was just
why do these people hate me? Like
it just felt unimaginative, and like they didn't know how to end it.
It devolved into the third act of a Marvel movie.
Yes, exactly.
Of the protagonist fighting the antagonist with similar powers but a different color scheme,
And why was it Agatha all along? She did nothing.
Right. She just showed up.
It was literally just Wanda. Wanda was the villain of the piece.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, this one was good, and I hope that the rest is good too, because it would be refreshing to have a good show. But it's on Disney Plus, and I haven't been impressed yet, so we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Anything else to say about the show?
I had one more.
I wish I could grow a beard like Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, I like my beard, but I wish this part was fuller.
Did you see him in Dune?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that was a magnificent beard.
We saw all of him in Dune.
Oh yes, I'm starting a film analysis class at my high school
where it's just that scene.
I want to put Dune on the list, but I'm worried about just that scene.
The camera tastefully misses the important bits, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We'll see.
Oh man, Dune was.
But I loved how full his beard was in Dune, and I would.
Yes.
Denis Villeneuve,
full but tidy. It was a nice beard.
Denis Villeneuve was a great choice for Dune.
Arrival's
good
too.
Arrival's real good.
Is that an original story, or is it based?
He's the director.
Oh.
I think it was a book that he just found and like I'm gonna make this a movie, and they're like, okay, fine.
Interesting. I don't remember. I had a thought that I was going to bring up. It wasn't in my notes, and I don't remember what it is anymore. Oh, right. So my only negative with the show is that there are a couple scenes that is a little bit too much shaky cam. They're just walking through the museum, and the camera is doing this. I'm like, stop it. I hate shaky cam so much. It wasn't too bad, but there were a couple times it was a little bit noticeable, and I'm like, the best shaky cam is when you don't notice it. You know, it's there, it's organic, it's just, but it's really bad in a fight scene when you can't tell what's going on, it's really bad when there's no movement in the scene, but the camera is moving more than the characters, and that bothers me.
I think the best example of shaky cam I've seen was in Knives Out, where it was used for a specific purpose. Spoilers.
That's a good movie.
That's
a good movie.
The protagonist gets the inheritance, and the family that thought they were going to get it, they don't get it, and so
it switches to shaky cam in that scene to show her literally having a panic attack.
Yes, and there's a ton of movement of all the family members like walking around her, trying to talk to her, and like when it's used with a purpose, shaky cam.
Well, and in this it's used well in this episode too. Like in the scenes where he's jumping in and out of consciousness, they use shaky cam to because he doesn't know what's going on, and it shows that frantic panic, but it's not too shaky so you can't see what's going on. It helps a little bit to show the disassociation,
and that was fine there. The scene that it bothered me is when he's talking with his boss at the museum. They're just talking.
Maybe
they're not even moving, and the camera is going like this. I'm like,
maybe
stop moving the camera,
David. Maybe the shaky cam in those instances is supposed to represent his alter ego that's watching from the outside.
Okay, maybe, but
maybe it's there for a reason.
Very jumpy.
Maybe the camera is a character watching what's happening.
Well,
trying to jump back in.
The camera should be a character. That's when you anyways.
Yeah. So
I'm just saying it's just that one little scene that bothered me a little bit too much.
It's just a one little scene and your mom got scared. So that's Moon Knight. We've got Tanner, you shared an article about Moon Knight with me.
Oh, so
should we transition to my favorite segment of Screen Rant's Bad Takes?
I think we should.
Let's do some Screen Rant's Bad Takes, everybody.
Nice.
Screen Rant's Bad Takes.
Okay, this one's not actually Screen Rant.
CBR, which
their own Same parent company.
Same parent company, yeah.
Constant bit rate?
What
does CBR stand for?
Comic Book Reporter.
Okay.
So this is their comic book.
It's
central
constant
website.
bit rate, David.
That's what CBR stands for in my line of work.
So I saw this one, and you have the sensational headline: Moon Knight took a massive shot at cultural appropriation. And the article does talk about how the director talks about, accurately representing minority cultures, which is something you should do. But the big scene that they pointed out that tackles cultural appropriation is
the
when
scene where he's talking to his boss.
Yeah, he's in the gift shop and he's like, "These aren't real Egyptian snacks.
Yeah,
these are just candies." And
they didn't have candy back in Egyptian.
Yeah, and it's like
it's not a massive shot. It's a jab at best, right?
And the thing is, it more functions as characterization for Steven, showing that he is highly knowledgeable about these things, but terrible with people, because the point of having candy in the gift shop is people like candy. And he's like, well, we should be serving figs and dates and like the whole they're just reading too much into the scene, which they talk about too, how like he points out how the poster's wrong and there should be 9 gods and not 7. And I hate to call people like this out, but I have met people where they think when they can nitpick small mistakes that they're being super intelligent and smarter than everyone around them. He said on a show where they nitpick about
facetiously
about things.
I was going to say, you mean all of us?
Hey, we find big mistakes though.
Yeah, but I've met people where like, we're talking about something, and then they come in and they're like, "Well, did you know that blah 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 blah," and like they didn't follow the flow of the conversation, and they kind of missed the reason why we're talking about like what's going on.
Right.
And that's kind of what this is, where it's like it's trying to show that Steven he's a social outcast.
Yeah.
He doesn't fit in with society. And sure, maybe a little bit at cultural appropriation, but not a massive shot. And when I was watching it, definitely not what I was thinking. It was, this guy has a lot of knowledge and he feels underappreciated, and he's not good with people. And it was all characterization to help us get to know the character, and it was great. And I think you take away from what they're trying to do by making everything a message.
Yeah. There's also a lot of irony behind this, which I'll explain because I have a little bit more information. So the reason they're doing this article is because of the comments that the director made. And so they're saying that the stuff that's happening in the show is a reflection of his personal beliefs, which I think is true. But I think that the comments that the director made are ridiculous. So Mohammed Daib, they mention it in here, but they don't give the actual quote. So if you move over to Bounding into Comics, the director specifically blasted Black Adam and Wonder Woman 1984. There's another article where for appropriating Egyptian culture, and what he says specifically is, "I was really annoyed with DC when they set Black Adam in a fictional Middle Eastern country, as it's an excuse to cast non-Egyptians when it was obviously meant to be in Egypt." And then he immediately undermines his own argument because he said, "Okay, there are tons of versions of the comic Black Adam where Egypt where it's not even based on Egyptian mythology. That's just one version of the Black Adam comic that has an Egypt connection. And then it does a similar thing for Wonder Woman, which I think holds a little bit more merit because there was like a sheik that they interact with it when they're over there. But his biggest gripe was that you're doing it so you don't have to cast Egyptians in the roles. When I was watching Moon Knight, though, I didn't see any Egyptians either. Did Oscar Isaac?
I didn't see any.
Oscar Isaac, also whose full name is Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada, is from Guatemala.
Oh, see, that could have been Egyptian if you ask me. I mean,
he's Hispanic and / American. Ethan Hawke is from Texas, and I'm sure there were probably some extras in Egypt. But where was Moon Knight filmed? Hungary, Budapest, also Hungary, also more and Jordan. It wasn't filmed in Egypt either. So
isn't Jordan in Egypt?
Nope. Jordan's in Jordan. It's close. It's right next to Egypt. Sure, but like, if you're gonna cast the first stone, maybe don't make the same mistake. So
yeah.
I will throw him a bone, and I think some people, they can be passionate about, like, if he is Egyptian and he wants more correct Egyptian representation in media, I think it's all for it.
Sure,
but
he does say as well, though, that the composer is Egyptian, that he hired, and he hired some other Egyptians too. But at the same time, like, aren't you kind of also appropriating a little bit too? Like,
I think I want to point the finger more at. I think, unfortunately, with our nerd culture, like, honestly, comic books, I in the past have argued that they can have cultural meaning and, like, things like that. But if you want to make a film about, like, what Egypt is really like,
don't do a comic book movie first.
Yeah,
that's made up stuff.
I'm all about more representation and people feeling like, hey, I can see myself in this movie. But we can engage in more art than just comic book movies. And what I think a big problem are these websites that are treating comic book movies like high art.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we're picking it apart here, and we've acknowledged, like, good pieces of filmmaking and good storytelling, but there's so much more. I mean, I love comic books. I love comic book movies for the most part, but
it's pulp.
Yeah, I do not have the same emotional reaction to these movies as I do, like, a cinematograph, a really good movie.
Dune.
Yeah, Dune. I was like
Dune is an art piece.
Took me away.
Most comic book movies aren't.
No.
This one's better. Moon Knight's better. And in his defense, he hired actors and editors and costume designers and art directors who are all Egyptian, just not the important actors. Like, it's pretty hypocritical to me. So that this also gives me some reservation about the quality of the show in the future if the director is a little obsessed about this kind of stuff. What's also funny is that Moon Knight in the comics is supposed to be Jewish too.
Yeah,
and he ignores that. So the street goes both ways, my friend.
I know, and I worry that maybe he commented on it and was just kind of like, yeah, it kind of bummed me out that, Wonder Woman didn't represent.
No, it was a big interview that he did where he calls them out. He's like, you guys are bad for doing this. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It wasn't a passing comment.
I wonder how much of it is websites like Screen Rant trying to generate.
Trying to make the problem so that they can solve it later. Yeah. Which they do often. Yeah. So, that's our first Screen Rant bad take. As you can see, I have a lot of other tabs open. Should we do some more Screen Rants? Here's a good one. The MCU's Loki is secretly Peter Pan theory explained. Have you heard this theory?
No.
Because
the SparkNotes version.
Because it's made up by Screen Rant. This isn't like something that people have been talking about. Right?
No.
So Loki's the god of mischief, but is he actually a variation of Peter Pan? So here's the evidence to support this. The first thing they say is they both have remorse for misdeeds and love for attention.
Okay.
And they both wear green and have a spot of magic, and they don't have parents. Well, I mean, Loki kind of had two versions of.
I think notorious is the wrong word to use there. Like Peter Pan, yes, he's the OG Lost Boy. Like I don't have parents.
Oh! And in episode 5 of Loki, there was an alligator.
TikTok croc.
And there's an alligator in Peter Pan.
Oh my goodness, the similarities are.
And they both
astounding.
Lead a ragtag band of stragglers called the Lost Boys.
Okay.
And there's a ship.
No. That whole sentence there. Neverland, meanwhile, is akin to the void dimension. No, it is no. Those two sentences are completely different. Neverland is a mystical island with sexy mermaids and racial stereotypes of Indians.
A comparison between Marvel's Loki and J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan may seem ridiculous at first. You'd be correct.
It also seems ridiculous at second.
You could just stop there.
Throw up Jacob Ironside's comment there.
I think we missed where Peter Pan killed a bunch of people. He fights pirates, sure. This article is ridiculous. But it led me to this article too, which is another Screen Rant bad take. Anakin's new Star Wars return shows how badly the sequels failed him. A new Star Wars novel highlights just how badly the sequel trilogy treated Anakin Skywalker and underscored the strangeness of his absence. He's dead.
Yeah.
The sequel trilogy has lots of problems. This wasn't one of them.
That's so bad. Oh my goodness.
It's because there's a book where that it's a spin-off of the sequel trilogy where Luke dies and he goes to Exegol and has to confront the Sith, and then Anakin's Force Ghost shows up and saves him. And Anakin's Force Ghost should have been in the movies because Kylo Ren was talking to his, using him as a reason to be bad, right? But Anakin had redeemed himself,
but
2 seconds before he died, and no one knew about it.
Yeah. But also, Anakin was in the sequels. His voice called out to Rey in the end.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rey Skywalker, everybody.
Woo!
Wasn't the whole point of the sequels is that you didn't have to be a Skywalker to be important?
Exactly.
And then
so stupid. So dumb.
And then they make her a Palpatine and then a Skywalker too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's bad.
We got some more bad takes. Why Scream's next sequel shouldn't be a movie, it should be a comic. Because they just did a new Scream movie and it's going to get a sequel because it was successful. But it shouldn't be a movie, it should be a comic. And then this whole article is just saying how a Scream comic would be cool. Which, sure. But you can also make a movie. Screen Rant.
Has there been talk about making it a comic? Or are they just saying, hey, I think we should make a Scream comic?
They just
Andy Davis.
I'll fix your title. Screen Rant. They should make a Scream comic. Done. Next, why true crime show fans should watch more documentaries.
Okay.
That's what they're doing. Most true crime are documentaries.
Yeah.
There are a few that they've made TV shows out of, but that's all I have to say about that.
True crime podcasts are they're documentaries basically.
Very specialized niche documentaries. Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're like, if you've watched The Dropout, you should watch documentaries because it's the same. Like, yeah, because people watched the documentary based on the same thing, and it was so popular that they made a TV show out of it. It's the other way around, guys. Okay, we're gonna get spicier and spicier. Nolan forgot Gotham, but the Batman fixed his mistake. The Batman did a good job with Gotham City.
Yeah.
So did Christopher Nolan.
Except the last one.
The Gotham City is from the Nolan films is very recognizable. Like you can see it in your brain because it's. I don't understand what they're saying here.
Well, so you see, there weren't neon murals and street punks on rollerblades like in Batman Returns.
You want to know the rationale they give?
Yeah.
Nolan used a real building for one of the buildings that was supposed to be in Gotham.
Yeah. No one used Chicago.
No, I'm trying to find it. There was here we go. They used St. George's Hall for Gotham City Hall when he should have just built his own building instead. Guess who also did this? The Batman. The Batman used real locations and made it look like Gotham. That's what all movies do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's a strange take.
It's a dumb take.
I don't know what they're getting with that.
Did they want it to be like the Tim Burton Batmans, where it was like super gothic architecture and?
But like they all had different takes on Gotham. Nolan had a very when I think of the Batman films, I can see Gotham like it was a very defined place. He did a good job with it.
And it was realistic.
Yeah. It was just a more grounded take than Burton's. And I feel like the Batman's version of Gotham was also very grounded. It was just modernized because it's newer. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got another Batman one though. Matt Reeves explains why he treated the Batman as a standalone film. Matt Reeves has elaborated how he treated the Batman as a standalone film with sequels and spin-offs not being taken into consideration as a guarantee. That should always be how it is.
Yep.
But they're surprised by it. They're like, this is a revolutionary thing where he wasn't trying to think of a cinematic universe when he made the movie. Yeah, this is literally what we've been saying for a long time.
Make a good movie.
The problem with the current MCU movies is the movie itself is garbage because all they care about is the sequels and the spin-offs, setting up more. And they forget to make a good film. But apparently this is like a novel thing now. So that's a bad take. This is a good one too. Sonic's Eggman is Jim Carrey just doing the Riddler again. And proves it was great.
You can insert...
Okay. The Riddler was just Jim Carrey doing Jim Carrey again.
Exactly. You can just insert
And
any
it is
movie
great.
Jim Carrey is in.
Jim Carrey is great, and he's Jim Carrey in everything he's in. Jim Carrey's in, except maybe 7. He was different in that.
And Truman Show.
Yeah,
But
he's got
even
the
Truman
Majestic.
Show a little
Majestic.
bit.
The
Yeah.
Majestic.
Oh, Majestic. I forget about Majestic. Majestic's completely different.
But even in those films, he has his Jim Carrey moments.
Yeah.
What is this trying to say?
Can I propose what I think they're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
So, Sonic's Eggman
Is
Sonic
in the news
Sonic 2 is coming out.
Sonic 2.
Jim Carrey
is in the
did
news.
An interview where he was talking about Will Smith, and then Riddler, the villain,
is
of
in the news because of the Batman.
Yeah, like this is gonna pop up.
Oh, there's 3 things that people are reading about, and they're putting them in the same title.
Yeah, they're just optimizing
Their
this title and this article.
That's exactly what this is
for searching. And it's just I don't know.
Oops.
Oh,
sorry. I was trying to add Corwin, and I took you off. Sorry.
What? Sorry, I'm late. Life is crazy.
We're in the middle of doing some
bad
Screen
takes.
Rants, bad takes, and I cut off what Tanner was saying accidentally. It wasn't on purpose this time.
Well, I don't know anything about journalism, but I'm pretty sure this
Clearly.
is not good. Like,
this is not journalism, is what it is. It's not just bad journalism, it's not journalism.
yeah,
They're
people
not
write
saying
something-
anything. They're not giving any news. They're taking things that are already in the news, mashing them together into a title that will get a click, which will get ad revenue.
yeah.
That's all it is.
It's depressing.
How you doing, Corwin?
Doing good. You would
Didn't
think
know if
that
you were going to make it today.
you would think that Sunday would be a chill day, but usually
Right.
Sunday turns into WWE Fight Night, and that's what I've been dealing with. So
Sometimes.
Well, thanks for jumping in.
Thanks for
we
your
are
service too.
we already talked
you're
about
welcome, my friend.
we already talked about Moon Knight, and we're doing Screen Rants Bad Takes right now. I think we'll finish that, and then if you wanted to talk about Moon Knight, we can talk about it again.
Oh
'Cause
no,
we've
we're
got-
good. I honestly with all the stuff that's been going on delegate wise and all that, I didn't have a chance to watch anything this week. So
All right. Well,
What are you even doing here?
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
That's rude.
Well, then you're just popped in for the best part. My favorite part of the show is Screen Rant's Bad Takes. Yeah, next Saturday though, Cord and I are going up to the delegate meeting, and we're voting on stuff
Nice.
voting on stuffs.
because we're both.
Can you get representatives that want to fund education more?
That's what I've been without getting political, because this isn't a political show. Those are a few of the things we're looking at. So,
All right, cool.
Yeah, the most important thing you can vote on is school board stuff. Yeah.
I agree.
As a teacher, I appreciate that because
Well,
kids are.
as a delegate elect, I can't take your opinion into consideration because that would be nepotism. So.
What am I going to give you?
Sorry, chat.
I do have once all the Screen Rant stuff. This one's done. I do have one that I just emailed you, Alan, that I read today. It's not Screen Rants.
Oh,
But it's pretty dang bad.
okay. Okay. Well, let's move on. And some of these are connected. I have more tabs. The tabs that I have may seem more daunting than they actually are. Here's a good one. Every Ryan Reynolds horror movie ranked from worst to best. Do you want to see the list?
I'm trying to
First
think
off,
of a
how
horror
many
movie with
Ryan Reynolds?
I'm going to
How many
say.
Ryan Reynolds horror movies do you think there are?
I'm going to say 3.
You'd be correct.
Can I guess? Can I guess what they are?
Yes.
Okay. So you have. I think he was in an astronaut.
You are exactly correct. By the way, go on.
He was in an astronaut one, and
Yes.
it might have been a
Life.
Cloverfield.
No, it was Life.
Oh, okay. Then Blade, one of the Blade movies,
Yes.
and then I think X-Men Origins Wolverine was so bad they're counting it as a horror movie.
Okay, first off, that was good. Yeah, so they only give 5 examples, and the first one is Blade, which isn't a horror movie. It's a comic book movie. It's an action movie with some blood,
With vampires,
and
yeah.
it's also the worst one, and it's a joke, and it was not scary. So that one doesn't really count as a horror movie, in my opinion. The Amityville Horror. That was a remake. He was in that one. That's one. You got it. You got one horror movie.
Okay. That's a legit horror movie.
The Voices is a comedy with horror elements, but it's primarily a comedy. So that kind of counts. And then Buried was a thriller that they're counting as a horror movie. And then Life, the one you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the article, guys. All the horror movies that Ryan Reynolds has been in. That's a bad.
Put the Wolverine on there.
Oh yeah, he's yeah. Oh no, this is Blade. I was thinking the Wolverine is yeah okay.
Yeah.
In the picture and not even on the list. No, that was a joke. Here's another good one. Netflix's Last Airbender episode details should ease 3 big fan concerns. So a lot of people are trepidatious about Netflix adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is an amazing series.
I didn't know they were going to reboot.
They're doing a live action Airbender show, which is scary because the movie was not good, and because everyone loves The Last Airbender.
Mm-hmm.
We have trepidations, but don't worry, because the reason you don't have to worry about and Netflix doesn't have a good history of anime adaptations. Cowboy Bebop, right? The ones that they've done themselves have been okay. Like Castlevania was pretty good, but that was an actual anime. It wasn't a live action adaptation of an anime. Okay.
There's also that Death Note one I heard was not that good either.
Yeah, that was a movie. So the reason that they give here is that the new series is going to have 8 episodes and they're all going to be an hour long. So that gives enough screen time to tell the story.
Sweet, I'm sold.
That's the only reason they give. Those weren't the things that fans of this series were scared about. Yeah. I think the thing that we're most trepidatious about is that the original creators of the show were initially involved in this adaptation, and they have all left.
Oh, no.
That's what we're worried about. We don't care about the screen time. So that's a bad take. Here's another one. Screen Rant. Why we're not doing an April Fool's Day post this year? Because your regular articles are already jokes. That's been Screen Rant's Bad Takes, everybody. We've got some more articles that aren't from Screen Rant. David, you may remember, or you guys may remember an article that we had on a previous segment. The Wheel of Time's. Oh, sorry. It was the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time season 2 isn't coming out in March, and we made a joke about how they could just make one of these every month. Well, you'd be correct, because the Wheel of Time season 2 is not coming out in April. What's funny is this is technically the same website, but it's different. Mm-hmm. This is fan-sized Amazon Advisor, which before today had a different name. They just changed it. I had it. Let me look it up. It was a different website. Somebody vamped for like 2 seconds.
I think it's pretty hilarious that they took the joke
whole article
and made a whole other article about it. I saw this one too, and I emailed it to him.
You're the one who sent it to me. Yes, I'd already seen it.
Yeah, I already saw that. It's hilarious.
I can't find it.
So can we expect May 2022?
100%. 100%. Someone's
yes.
gonna. Is it already written?
Yes. No, not that one. Okay, I can't find the screen, but this used to be a different website, but they're both from Fansided, but they had like different sub. It's basically Screen Rant and Game Rant, the same company, right?
CBR, yeah.
And Fansided is the parent company. So there's the winteriscoming.net and Amazon Advisor. Now I can't remember what it used to be, but this is new. So they have one for April, they have one for March, they also had one for February.
Oh no!
And for January.
Oh no!
And they rotate between the two sites. So you got Winter is Coming, Amazon Advisor, Winter is Coming, Amazon Advisor.
No! Oh my goodness!
And what's funny is they already know this because they released this article that says the Wheel of Time Season 2 will not air until after Amazon's Lord of the Rings show, which is what everyone already knows. And that's coming at the end of the year. Or a little earlier than that. What?
I really, really hate these particular sites and articles in particular, because I want to Google something and say, "Oh, when is this show coming out? Who is cast as the new Doctor Who?"
That's what they do. They're
exactly
banking on people Googling when is Amazon coming out, and then accidentally giving their website a view.
Exactly. I hate it so much. Like the opinion articles that they're doing their nonsense takes and not saying anything. Fine, it's stupid, it's annoying, but this really pisses me off because it blocks people that are trying to find legitimate information.
Because that's the only way that they can actually get views.
Exactly.
And from people who have shows like us, I guess.
Yeah.
But what's funny is I found another site that was doing the same thing. Meow.com. Why the Amazon's Wheel of Time is not returning, or season 2 is not returning in February. But the caption or the subtitle, whatever it is, although there were reports that the Wheel of Time season 2 might come out in February, but that is not the case. There weren't any reports. The only people saying that are you guys. You guys are the reports that you're referring to.
That is a terribly written sentence.
Yes, it's not. I think this was originally translated.
you have a dependent clause paired with another dependent clause, and they don't work.
The title,
Although and but are two conjunctions that.
Although there were reports that it would come out in February, but that's not the case.
It should just be that's not.
It turns out that that's not the case. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The but doesn't need to be there. And this is the real kicker. This one just came out. 15 great articles from the Winter is Coming archives.
Oh dear.
This was supposed to be a day ago because it's their 15-year anniversary of Schlock, and so they're congratulating themselves, and they're all about Game of Thrones. And what's funny is the articles on this list repeat themselves. Like it's the same article but worded differently. like matching 50 Game of Thrones characters with each of the 50 states, and then matching 50 Game of Thrones characters with the 50 European countries, and shows. If you like Game of Thrones, you can watch this. This is your best stuff. This is your best stuff, though. These are the top 15.
50 main characters in that show. There's not even 50 main characters in that show.
In Game of Thrones, yeah, there are. Oh, not main characters, but characters, sure.
Yeah.
That's what everyone complains about.
What did they do? What did they do? Spearman number 3?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I've watched that show probably 6 or 7 times in entirety. I couldn't name all the characters.
73 episodes of Game of Thrones ranked worst to best. Like this is them patting themselves on the back, and the examples that they give of the best articles they've ever written are horrible.
Yeah, that's pretty telling when they compile their best episodes.
This is a good one. Could a real life version of Westworld be in our future? Hey, I read a sci-fi book. Could it be a real thing? Why the Wheel of Time succeeds as an adaptation and The Witcher fails. I mean, the jury's still out on whether or not the Wheel of Time was a successful adaptation, guys. The most important deaths in Game of Thrones. So that's fun. That's fun. That's most of the bad takes that we have tonight, except for one more. There's one more article, and then a lot of like subsequent things to follow up on. But we got to talk about the Oscars, baby. Remember how we made a joke last week that no one was watching the Oscars? Well, it turns out some people did watch the Oscars, and then they clipped the Oscars, and then everyone watched only that clip of the Oscars because Will Smith slapped a guy.
We're going to talk about this, are we?
Oh, we're going to talk about it. Do we want to talk about it and then reveal the article that you sent me, Tanner? Do we want to set up some context here? Or do we just want to jump straight into it?
It's up to you.
Let's give some context. Okay, how do we feel about the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock across the face?
I could give two craps. But I do have some conspiracy theory stuff that,
oh my gosh.
That is interesting about this.
Well, because it is the most views they've ever gotten. A lot of people thought that it was staged because they aren't relevant.
No, it was 100% staged. I don't. Crap.
Okay.
Oh yeah. But we'll get to there. When you want me to go, when you want me to unleash the beast, you just let me know.
I don't think it was staged. Because they've come out now and like there's talks that they might revoke his Oscar, which I think they should. The fact that Will Smith wasn't escorted out of the building after that is insulting to me. I like Will Smith. I think he's a good actor, and it was really disappointing to see him assault someone in public because of a joke. So
it wasn't even that bad either.
Yeah, well, it was pretty bad because Will Smith's wife has alopecia, and that's basically cancer.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost as bad. That's what people are saying. That's what people are saying. You can't make bald jokes if she has alopecia because that's basically as bad as cancer.
My mom had breast cancer, and let me tell you, she would not have been up to getting into a fancy dress and going to an award ceremony because she was so sick because of chemotherapy. I understand that alopecia.
It was probably an off-color joke to make fun of her for
sure
a disease. What's funny though is a lot of people are saying she gave it to herself from doing too many hair extensions. I don't know if that's true. I've tried to verify it. I can't find like a reliable source, but there is a lot of stuff out there that like it's her fault. Don't know if that's true. Still, it wasn't that bad of a joke.
I can understand.
It wasn't very funny either, but
it wasn't funny either. It wasn't a funny joke, but
it was just dumb banter of
it's called roast. Like,
and that's what they do.
He wasn't only making fun of Will Smith and his wife. He was making fun of a lot of other people.
Yeah, that's what you do with the Oscars. That's 50% of what comes out of their mouths is roasting other actors, and the other 50% is slacktivism.
They should turn the Oscars into Squid Game. That would be
yes. I would watch the Oscars.
More people would watch it. That's for sure. Yeah. It's pretty bad. And they're like making a big deal out of it. They revoked his membership to the Academy, which means he can't vote, but he can still be nominated in the future. So basically, it doesn't mean anything.
Is a man worth like $300 million, $400 million gonna do? Oh no!
But he slapped a guy, and then they gave him the Oscar anyway.
His slap was such a wimp.
And his speech, his acceptance speech, is like the most revolting thing I've ever heard. The first words out of his mouth were, Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. And that's the guy that I was playing in the movie. So that makes it okay for me to slap a guy because I was defending my family. Like his whole speech was just justified. Every other word was a justification for why he slapped Chris Rock.
And he's not even Daniel Day-Lewis. Don't tell me you were method acting.
Also, no one watched that movie.
I did.
I didn't even know that movie existed.
Okay,
What's the movies they mentioned?
I think
the Oscars are amazing. Who the hell knows what these movies are?
I think Will Smith can be a good actor. I think he should have gotten an Oscar for The Pursuit of Happiness. His performance in that movie is
for
fantastic.
sure.
Absolutely.
But
I would agree with that.
But Tanner, you saw the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Can anyone say what movie he was in besides Tanner? Does anyone know?
Well, I know what it is
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know that movie
King
existed.
Richard. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that movie existed.
Tanner, was it an Oscar-worthy performance?
No.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
So the thing was, well, I don't know, because
here's the
the
thing.
character in King Richard was really unlikable.
Yeah.
Because he was like a stage mom to Venus and Serena, like pushing them into tennis and trying to control their whole careers. And that
the
one of the
beauty
main
pageant
conflicts,
kids with abusive parents, kind of.
Yeah. And so one of the main conflicts was they wanted to compete in semi-pro tournaments, but he was like, no, you can't until you're old enough to do it on the professional level. And it was like, what? It was a good movie. But not, it felt more like The Pursuit of Happiness, or I'd even say 7 Pounds, are two better, there was more there for Will Smith than in King Richard.
Performance wise, yeah.
And I want to specify, when I watched King Richard, my mom wanted to watch it, and we logged on to my cousin's HBO Max account. So we didn't pay for it. I want to specify, we weren't oh yeah, let's go see this. We were at home for Christmas and needed something to do, and that Will Smith movie is on HBO. Let's watch it. And we watched it.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else actually watched the movie, and I haven't watched it. I doubt it was an Oscar-worthy performance, and I've only seen the trailer for The Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington.
Ooh, and I want to watch that.
And they probably should have given him the Oscar just for what I've seen in the trailer. So, Tanner, you sent me one last article talking about.
So I've been trying to keep up with this, and here's what they said.
So this is back to CBR, which is the same. It's Screen Rant.
Neither Will Smith nor Chris Rock is to blame for the Oscar slap. Will Smith is to blame for the Oscar slap. He made the choice to go up and hit a man.
Chris Rock is not to blame for the Oscar slap because he was roasting everyone and he made a joke that it's the Oscars' fault, right? That's what
their argument is. They should have vetted the jokes a bit better, or they should have had better security. No, Will Smith should not have
slapped a guy.
Yeah.
He should have made the choice to not slap someone.
Yes, it was 100% Will Smith's fault. And okay, maybe 95% Will Smith's fault, 5% Will Smith's wife's fault.
Yeah.
Jada, right? Jada Smith?
Yeah.
Jada
Smith.
If I was Chris Rock, I would have been making fun of all the guys she sleeps with in front of Will.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been talking about his.
I wouldn't have made fun of her hair. Yeah, I would have made fun of her boyfriends.
He's cuckold every freaking night. There was even an article I read where she was bragging about sleeping with some of her son's friends.
Yes.
Can we talk about that for a minute?
With more than one of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. With more than one.
I think that I'm pretty sure she used the phrase "I let them run a train on me."
Oh.
Wow.
I just
because she's often unsatisfied by Will Smith. She's said this on her show.
See, that's what doesn't make sense to me about this whole thing.
That he's still married to her? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at first when I heard that he went up and slapped Chris Rock,
check would be pretty freaking big.
Yeah, that's true. But
probably more expensive to divorce. Yeah.
It made it out like he was going up there to slap Chris Rock to defend his wife's honor, but in everything else he's not. So I don't understand his motivation for Gets up there and slapping him.
It's funny. If you see the clip, though, he was laughing at the joke.
Yeah.
And then it showed his wife react, and then he looks at her and then goes up to slap.
Right, but then she's laughing after he slaps him.
Well, I mean, like, of course she would.
I just don't understand. This is
all-star meander in that.
But it's not Will Smith's fault that he slapped a guy.
Oh, of course not.
It's the Academy's fault. Have you seen this tweet that they read afterwards? The Academy does not condone violence of any form. We just give Oscars to people who do violence.
Okay, so let me do some conspiracy. Let me do some conspiracy stuff here. Okay,
right, let's get
just to get your guys' thoughts. So some people might roll their eyes at this, but the more I think about it, as a cop, as someone who investigates shady crap for a living, I'm like, the puzzle pieces kind of fit, like
a lot of it looked staged to me until he started cussing him out afterwards. Like when it happened, I was like, "Oh, this is a joke." He's slapping him for a bad joke.
That's where his acting was.
Yeah,
that's where his acting was. Because if you watch him slap, it's a slap. Like there was even some wrestlers from WWE, the best fighting actors in the world, getting on and going, anyone who knows anything about staged fighting, this fools no one. It fools none of us. So, but also, let me get into the conspiracy theory.
If it was staged, though, why would Chris Rock agree to that? I think if it was staged, Will Smith maybe knew about it, and Chris Rock didn't.
That's the only way I could see this.
No, money, man, money. So let me get into the conspiracy theory. Did anyone prior to this know on a large scale? How do you pronounce what Jaden Smith's thing is? Alopecia. Did anyone know on a wide scale what that was? No. Most people have no idea what. Now everybody does. Who was the largest?
It's Alopecia Awareness Month
this year.
That's who it is.
Who was the financier of the Oscars this year?
Was it the Shineheart Wig Company?
It's big wig.
Pfizer. Without getting Pfizer.
Okay.
In Pfizer, which for those of you who don't know, it's a large medical.
Yes, I think everybody knows who Pfizer is.
Yes. Everyone knows who Pfizer is.
Everybody knows who Pfizer is.
One of the vaccines.
Point, Oh, yep. And they had to release all these papers and stuff. We don't need to get into politics in the show. But besides,
do they have an alopecia drug?
So, yes, they are releasing an alopecia drug next month. It just cleared clinical trials.
It's Big Pharma.
Week. So the largest sponsor, the sponsor of the Oscar, is suddenly everyone knows what alopecia is. And the largest sponsor is releasing a drug next week for alopecia and hair loss, or next month, I think it is. It's scheduled for release in May. So yeah, in May. And so now everyone knows what this crazy thing is when no one did. And suddenly everybody knows. And I mean, dude, there's so much. And then his sissy little, And then as he slapped him, obviously Chris Rock, if you want to argue he didn't know about it, maybe okay, but they were both smiling. They're both smiling. Like Chris Rock was smiling as he was getting hit. Yeah. After he got hit,
but he's on stage.
Yeah. Right, he's on stage, but you would think he'd be like, what the? Instead, Will Smith is trying not to laugh as he walks back from the stage. You can look at it. He does his little.
He does like a almost like a fist
shot,
pump,
and he's like
congratulating himself.
Everyone thought that it was fake. Everybody thought at that moment that it was a bit, right?
Yeah.
And then
until he
Will Smith, who is a good actor, everyone can admit Will Smith is a good actor, realizes, oh no, the crowd thinks this is a bit. I have to do something. And that's when he starts screaming, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. With all of this combined, I think 100% this was staged. I think it was a conspiracy. I would like to see people's bank accounts. Like, I would love just let me see your bank account. Hey, this is an interesting.
Go in and ask your Sarge. Hey, I need a subpoena to look into Will Smith. I think it's conspiracy with Big Pharma.
314B, a 314B with any bank to look at it if I agree to criminal stuff. If I have evidence of criminal misdoings, I can look at anyone's account under a 314B. But that's beside the point, right? I would love to take a look because I just find it. All that coming in is just so fascinating to me. I'm just like, nah.
I'll say this. If Jada Pinkett Smith becomes a spokesperson for that drug, I will tell everyone that you had that conspiracy. Like, it was like, I will believe it 100%. Like, I'm on the fence right now. Like, yes, those puzzle pieces do fit together.
Okay. Oh no! Can you imagine? Can you imagine the commercial for this? That's do you suffer from too many hair extensions? Is your hair falling out because of that?
And then just throw a whole bunch of hot dogs.
Do you have alopecia? Do you have comedians frequently making fun of you at big at giant functions because
more
you had
hot
to shave
dogs
your
on
head?
face?
Hi, I'm Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm an alopecia girl. Like,
yep.
No, but like I could see
it's
thanks to alopecia, comedians aren't making fun of me anymore for my hair loss. They're just making fun of my cuckold husband.
You watch. I guarantee something's going to happen. But yeah, no one knew about this. And suddenly, let's make a famous person. She's got it. And if you look at people who have alopecia, if you look at they don't look like her. Like they don't. You could tell she shaved it close, and she said, "Well, I've been losing hair, so I shaved it close." Well, but if you look at people who do that, there's still splotches on their head where there is no hair. Her head is a perfectly short shaved. I don't know. There's. Her alopecia also affects people's eyebrows.
Yeah,
eyebrows are fine.
Here's where I think your theory might have a flaw, though. If no one knows about alopecia, then how can they make money off of it? If not a lot of people have it,
because it's an alopecia plus hair loss drug.
Plus hair loss.
Yes,
I think you nailed it. I think that's it.
It's an alopecia. It fights alopecia, but it also is used for hair loss.
Is it preventative?
I'm not sure. I don't know all the details on it.
If it's preventative too, then yeah, definitely. That's another ball in your court.
I would love to see their bank accounts. What's this $10 million that you got random from some bank account from Barbados? What's this all about? It's definitely we're like, are you on Epstein Island or is this Pfizer? Huh? Like, so I don't know, man.
So you think all of this other stuff about them revoking his Oscar and everything like that? That's
well, they haven't. That's all speculation. They revoked his membership to the Academy. They haven't taken away his Oscar yet. People are calling for it. I don't think it'll ever happen.
No, they didn't take away his Oscar.
I would like to see it happen.
Your Academy is taken because obviously people are going to be pissed off, right? Obviously people are going to be pissed, but why does Will Smith care? I mean, look at this. Why would he? I mean, everyone's like, he shouldn't have. And, granted, all right, let's say it wasn't a conspiracy theory. 100% he shouldn't have. He broke the jester's privilege. Jester's privilege has been something since the medieval times. Like, jester's privilege has always been there. So,
if it wasn't staged, if it wasn't staged, to play devil's advocate, if it wasn't staged, if it was real, it clearly wasn't about the joke. He's clearly dealing with something else. Namely, his wife having sex with a bunch of other men, and this was the straw.
He laughed at the joke.
He did.
If you go look, he laughed at the joke, and then you see Jada do this whole thing, and then that's when he stands up and he's like, with his little sissy little slap. I mean, it was like he even winded up. I mean, come on. I can my 3-year-old slaps harder than that. Like, I'm sorry. There's so much, but let's say it wasn't staged. Let's just say it wasn't staged. Why would Will Smith care? He's worth almost $1 billion.
Right.
He's probably one of the richest actors in Hollywood. And no one's talking about his privilege, if you want to get into this.
I can see it playing out where he's just so embarrassed by his wife's public comments on their relationship, and this is the one thing that he could have some control over. I could see myself snapping in that
Divorce
situation.
your crazy wife.
Yeah, I mean,
You've
I
got
would
control over that.
obviously handle it a little differently. I would divorce my wife, for one.
When she's bragging about having sex with guys the age of your son,
with friends of her son.
Right, yes. Friends of her son. So I'm assuming the weird kid that is, what is his name? Jaden Smith.
Jaden Smith.
Because let's be honest, that after frickin' Kung Fu or the Karate Kid remake with Jackie Chan, that kid frickin' he's weird. He's weird as all get out. Like, so after your kid brings home these weird, because he's not hanging out with sophisticated James Bond types.
Be real if our eyes aren't real. Yes.
Yeah, right. Like, he's insane. So obviously, and he's a druggie. Tweet. Obviously, he's hanging out with other druggies, and you have your wife, who is arguably attractive. I don't think she is very much. I thought she was way back when. Now I think she's just a whore. And I'm waiting for Will Smith to come slap me if he sees this. I'm okay with it. Like, I could use a couple $1 million and never work another day in my life. But
you can just have him. Just have someone shot behind you. He's got a gun.
No, he's bragging about sleeping with guys 66% younger than Will Smith that look like freaking the mumble rappers that are retarded, and he's just got to live with it. Like, as a man, that's so demasculating.
Yeah.
And she's bragging about it. I sucked so-and-so's, and it was a friend of Jaden's. The heck? Like, and we're public figures and you're bragging? Like, no. Will Smith, if it wasn't faked, which I believe it was, but if it wasn't, on the off chance I'm wrong, divorce your whole wife and move on with your life.
Yeah. He's got some issues for sure. What's so funny is that with this article in particular, there's so many people who are trying to divert the blame. It's not Will Smith's fault. It's Chris Rock's fault. If it's not Chris Rock's fault, it's the Academy's fault. If it's not the Academy's fault, it's because of black erasure.
What?
I don't know if I can. I'd have to play this whole video. So I'm just going to shout out Memology. But PBS had a big interview where they talked about the reason behind Will Smith's slap was because of black pain and black erasure. And Forbes had this article. So go watch this article. Go watch this video. I'll link it in the description. Memology 101 is a great channel. And Forbes had this article. Why are jokes always at the expense of black women? What does this have to do with race?
Yeah, the race wasn't mentioned at all.
Chris Rock is also black. What? It's anyone's fault but Will Smith's, apparently. So, but interesting. There is a glimmer of hope because I've got a nice Babylon Bee article. Amy Schumer is horrified to learn you can now get slapped for bad jokes.
That's good.
I watched, to my everlasting shame, her last Netflix special. It was so garbage.
Yeah.
It was so. I tried to like it because, I'm obviously people watching this. Yes, I lean conservative. I lean to the right. I tried to watch it because I was like, you know what? It can't be that. I laugh at funny jokes. I laugh at funny jokes. I laugh at people that make fun of the right. I laugh at people make fun of them. I love these. I love comedy. I love stand-up comedy. If any of you live in Utah or on Provo, Dry Bar Comedy is a great date night for your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Fantastic stand-up place. Go have fun with it.
You could also pitch the
show that you guys are in?
That I do.
That Alan does stand up. He does. Alan does stand up. Stand up Broadway.
Improv Broadway.
Improv Broadway. Sorry,
Okay.
Improv Broadway.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks
on
for the plug. Thanks for the plug, Corbin. Yeah, I do improv at a comedy show.
You
Yeah.
do a good job.
Don't go to my shows. Go to Dry Bar. Okay.
Yeah, Alan shows are boring as hell anyway. So if you go to whatever, I'm just saying, I tried. Alan is very good. Alan is very funny. If you guys are in that, go to Improv Broadway. It is very good. I've been to a couple of shows. I have always laughed at everything Alan has been in for stand-up, always. Every time. Anyway, so, and I'm not saying that because I'm his friend. I'm saying that because I have legitimately been there and legitimately laughed.
Alan is
all the
time. Comedian.
So, but if you go back to it, like, I tried really hard to watch. I watched 3/4 of it before I just said, you know what? This is the biggest waste of my time since
Cincinnati
ever. Yes, it was garbage. Like, it was just terrible. I even went back and watched some of her earlier stuff. She's not funny. In my opinion, she's not funny.
But girl talk about sex.
Yeah, she talked
girl
about...
don't talk about sex.
Girl don't...
That's
she
her whole bit. That is her whole bit. Like, she had a whole bit about how, and we got to keep this PG-13. She had a whole bit about
how her undercarriage smells like a barnyard animal. Yes.
How like having sex made certain sounds between her legs. That was the whole bit, and it was just like, it was not funny. And I laughed at some of those jokes. It was not funny. It was quite disturbing and distasteful. And I'm all for a dirty joke. I'm a cop. Yeah. I hear them every day. Like, well, no.
Amy Schumer's not funny, but I tell you, this is funny because there's another Babylon Bee article I want to share. Here we go. Trump hosts a press conference to share how he beat Elden Ring without dying once.
I was the best Elden Ring player of all time.
Frankly, I didn't even die one time. Okay.
They had to
rewrite
the code.
We have the best rings.
People come up to me. They had to rewrite the code, and some of the bosses, because I beat it in one shot. And I looked at him and I said, "Gentlemen, this game isn't good enough for the Trump." Okay,
frankly, it's not hot enough.
I trumped the game. But it was to their credit, it is the greatest game of all time. I liked it. Melania played it. Melania, give him a hand. My sons, they loved it. They thought it was fantastic.
Have the best son.
Melania wasn't as good as me. She was close, but she wasn't as good as me because I am the greatest Elden Ring player of eternity. Like, no one plays Elden Ring like I can play Elden Ring.
That's a pretty good
done.
My Xbox boots up faster than anybody else's Xbox because I have the greatest Xbox. Give him a hand. Give Xbox a hand. But Elden Ring is too. It's just not that hard, guys. It's not that hard.
Get good, everybody. Okay, frankly,
get good.
Get good.
Get good. Get good.
Every time I try and do Trump, it turns into a Boston accent.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. But so that's been Screen Rant's Bad Takes. That was a long segment.
That was a really long segment. Goodness.
There was a lot of bad
Joe
takes.
Biden thinks he can play. Joe Biden thinks he can play Elden Ring. He can't play Elden Ring like I can play Elden Ring.
Screen Rant may think they have good takes, but they have the worst takes of all time. I just went Boston. See? I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not good at the Trump. So, Corin, you didn't watch Moon Knight, and you didn't watch Raised by Wolves, because
I have been on the phone with so many candidates and stuff this week. I haven't had a chance to.
We're going to talk about Raised by Wolves episode 6 now. You can stay if you want, but we might spoil some stuff.
I haven't watched 6. I'll probably bounce. I don't want spoilers. I'm interested to see what happens. So
okay,
you should,
especially after slugs are thrown and things are growing and people are dying and the reveals.
One word.
Sploosh. There's some episodes where you're like, there's some episodes where you watch and you're like, I can have spoilers for the next episode, and it's not gonna, there's not like, but I feel like last episode a few things kind of happened that
it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
All right, it was fun. It was a great time. We had a great time. Screen Rants Takes. I'll talk to you guys later.
Some might say
your show's not nearly as good without me, but that's okay.
All right, see you, man.
See you, Corin.
See you guys.
All right, Raised by Wolves, episode 6. We're finally getting there. 2 hours in.
Goodness.
Again, sploosh.
Yeah, I forgot about this sex scene actually. David,
really
I was talking to your wife today, and she was complaining about it. She's like, I can't believe you made me watch that. And I thought she was talking about the sex scene from the previous episode. And I was like, it wasn't even that bad. They weren't even naked. She's like, yeah, they were. I was like, what are you talking about? And then I rewatched it. I was like, oh, all right. I forgot about this one.
Yeah, it was really weird.
You don't see the important bits. You see a little bit of his butt.
Because the important bits were covered up.
They were floating. It was cool. It was a dream. Either way,
naked bodies were covered up by other naked bodies.
Either way, it wasn't real sex.
No, I just meant the whole room getting flooded with android fluid.
Yeah.
Very.
Oh, I didn't even realize that the previous sex scene was blood, and this is
robot blood.
Android blood.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't even make that connection till just now.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was I thought it was just a bodily fluid, not necessarily blood. But I like that parallel better. That is more artistic.
It was very awkward watching the android wet dream.
But this is a very clever reincorporation of the title of the show, because in this scene, Campion Sturgis was raised by wolves, baby.
Ew. Gross.
So yeah, Mother's going back to the sim a bunch and replaying memories of her creator and getting frisky with her creator. Tally taught Vita to make dolls, and
so that I'm still
that part is really weird.
Mm-hmm.
With this Tally ghost creature,
playing hide and
around
seek
in the background doing hide and seek, and then the drawing that draws itself and then bleeds or burns itself or something. I don't know. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see what's going on there.
So, oh man, I watched more than episode 6.
No.
Yeah. I got to like episode.
It's hard.
I think I watched 3 episodes this week.
It's hard to stop. It's hard to stop.
Yeah, I had my finals this week, so.
And we also have Moon Knight, so.
And Moon Knight, yeah. But yeah, that mother having an emotional affair, I guess, with the hologram sim is weird.
So that I mean, stuff happens in later episodes that's got so like going back to what's the name of the kid that died but is coming back and
Callie, the girl with the ball.
So that is like I'm wondering if it's like they're eating the fungus and that's causing hallucinations. But then I'm pretty sure the androids
they're all shared hallucinations though.
Yeah.
Like they're all seeing her, and then we saw that drawing like burn itself or something.
Well, in this episode, really Mother does give an explanation for it.
Right, but she said that the virus from the pod is causing it, but
she said that Campion Sturgis inserted himself into as a virus in more than one places. He turned himself, or at least a copy of his conscience, into a virus and put himself into the Mithraic computer. And now he was using the stasis pod to create visions of Tally.
Yeah, but how does that make visions outside of the stasis pod?
Because when she interfaced with the pod, he's inside her now in more than one place.
Right.
And so he was just tricking her into seeing Tally.
But everyone else is seeing Tally
You're
too.
right. It doesn't explain it.
Right.
I'm just saying that this episode gave a possible explanation.
Yeah. Who was drawing in the hut? I don't know. It was weird.
There are other clues with the drawings.
Are there?
For things that happen. Not just in this episode, in previous episodes. If you look at the drawings, there's some foreshadowing.
I thought that might be the case, but I didn't have time to go back and check. And it didn't really show any of the other drawings in this episode close enough to see them. But yeah, it's interesting. I really liked the episode, the shot or the scene when Caleb and what's her name, Sue, yeah, they're talking about.
Okay, you can't say Caleb and Sue because you say Marcus and Sue and Caleb and whatever her name was.
Okay, that's why I asked. I don't know her name.
Marcus and
Caleb
Sue are
Marcus.
their fake names, but it's the names that they go by from now on. So it's Marcus and Sue. But to say Caleb and Sue is
okay. I remember both of his names, but I only remember one of hers. So
is Campion Senior alive? We don't. That's a good question. We don't know. Well, I know.
I have a theory, but I can't say it because it's stuff from later episodes.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem, Tanner. You can't talk about stuff now. That's what I've been experiencing this entire time.
And me for the first 5 episodes. But I really like that dialogue between them both. There's like debating how or if they're going to tell their son Paul, right? That they're not really their parents.
Hey,
it's
we killed your mommy and daddy, but we're better than them. So
yeah, but we really do love you, you know. I thought that was really good dialogue.
Great concept.
Yeah, it's so good. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you tell the kid? If you tell him that you killed the parents, okay, you're better than his parents were because obviously his parents were trash, terrible people. But you also killed people. You killed the parents. So like, how is he supposed to trust you? It's really good. But yeah,
there's a really good line that Campion talking to Paul when they're talking about
there's some really good dialogue. The bones
animals. Yeah, the bones. And Campion says, I think everything has a soul, maybe even trees. The big ones anyway.
The big one. Yeah, that was so good.
Yes.
And he's supposed to be the atheist.
Yes.
Yeah.
It all it's an interesting line of dialogue.
Yeah, it's very good. I loved that. I wrote that down too.
So then they find some tuna cans or whatever.
Yeah, some space food.
Yeah, just Hunter sucks. Dude.
He sucks. He's the worst character.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
he's consistently the worst character. Okay.
I've taught students like him too that think they know so much, and it's just like, no, you suck.
Yeah.
Like,
but also, from his perspective, he doesn't care about the androids, and he sees his people. That's what I would do in his shoes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The show is so well written that way. Like, everyone is acting
in their
very realistically.
Yeah.
Aside from the android having an affair. Everything else, I'm just saying, like, what a robot.
But she's programmed to have emotions.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Is she Oh no. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
What?
You have an epiphany?
She was programmed by Campion to learn to develop human emotions. So
but the theory that just popped into my head is she was not programmed just to have emotions, but to have a very specific set of emotions.
Motherly emotions.
Yes. And I almost said something that's from a later episode that I can't say yet,
Tanner, you don't even know. You don't even know what you're talking about.
But like, I mean, in this episode, I mean, we talked about do androids dream of wet sheep? Like
I was gonna make
that,
this same joke, Tanner.
Sorry,
I was gonna say, do androids dream of electric sex?
But we have the conversation between Campion Senior and Mother, where he's like, "I can give you anything. What do you want?" And she's like, "I want to do my directive." "No, what do you want?" And like, it can be, but that is it's very manipulative and coercive. And again, this is Campion Senior in the pods is a program. Yes. Like it brings up the ideas of how developed is this AI? Like, is it
which AI? Mothers
or Campion Senior's hologram? Because I mean, at least as these episodes go on, we see Mother and Father are very human-like, and then things happen and they develop more feelings and more ideas. But I think that this Campion Senior virus maybe isn't as complex as the androids, and it serves a specific purpose.
Is not as complex.
It's because we get the history between the two, but there's just some things that make me feel like that it's just
I think I know where you're going.
Part of the mission. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. I'm not going to say anything.
But yeah, these androids are interesting because oftentimes, they're acting in a very robotic, programmed method, and it's wonderful. And then other times, they're acting on their emotions and going on these weird electric trips.
Vision Quest.
Yeah, Vision Quest, exactly. So it's weird. Like there's another part in this episode where Father makes a joke, right?
Yes.
And he's like, when is a door not a door?
When is a door not a door?
And Mother's response is just completely robotic and without feeling. Is like, a door is always a door, Father. And she just moves on. It was brilliant. I loved it. I love Father. But that exchange was so programmed, like Father is trying to come up with
comments were kind of
making
her comments were also kind of talking about him.
Yeah.
She's saying like, you're not enough for me. You're always going to be what you are, but I'm evolved past you to have emotions, right? You're always going to be a robot.
Yes.
And I'm going to evolve.
She presents the line in a very monotone, robotic, without feeling delivery.
It kind of had some sarcasm from my point of view. The Jedi are evil.
Yeah.
For me, it was like biting. It's like you're always going to be adored, Father.
Yeah. But also, near the end, Father has always been, the more timid, instruct the kids and teach them and everything, and then he kicks butt at the end of this episode. He's so good.
He's practical.
Yes, he's very practical and very resourceful and awesome, and I hope he's not dead.
He's the best character.
For sure.
Well, they showed he wasn't dead. She was fixing him.
Right.
But she didn't get to finish fixing him.
Yep.
Yeah. Does Father have emotions too? There's no evidence of that yet.
He does talk about being happy and having joy. And Mother said that that's not, we're androids. That's not something that is, achievable for us. And Father says, I think you're
Maybe
wrong.
it's my faulty programming.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to think about. He specifically wasn't necessarily programmed in the same way that Mother was to try and mimic human emotions.
I think he has an
he's
understanding.
Yeah, he's trying to understand human
he's
emotions.
he's trying to understand emotions for sure.
Yeah.
I might I think this is a good point. I feel like Raised by Wolves is a piece of sci-fi media that actually has stuff to say and is done well, so you can discuss it. Unlike
most
Marvel
sci-fi
movies.
does, yeah.
But like it might have something to do with the typical roles that a mother and a father play and the gender norms there, because at least
the mother is more emotional and the father is more practical.
and then the father is and again, these are the typical roles. I'm sure it's not applicable everywhere, but like what father is teaching the kids is like how to survive.
Survival.
He's like finding food, and I mean he's even the caretaker. Like he's not in this episode. He's the protector, but Mother is seen as the protector.
Exactly. Up until now, Mother's been the protector, and he was just inadequate about taking out one of those monsters or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Jacob Ironside. He said he's talked about being inadequate before.
In that same line, maybe it's a symptom of my inadequacy, but I believe that robots can find happiness.
Yeah. So I think that I'm maybe reading into that a bit more, that perhaps Father doesn't show his emotions like Mother, but his actions reflect the things that he feels.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, she also has a little bonus emotion though from programming.
Yeah.
Which he may or may not have.
Very, very good. Are we talking about the end yet?
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised by the ending because they saved Paul, and then he told him he has to go back, and I took it that he was going to bide his time and wait for the opportune moment.
No.
And then it happens right then. And then I totally was not expecting Marcus to come up with
Did you think that there was going to be filler in this show?
Yes, exactly.
Idiot. You thought they were gonna that was gonna be the next episode?
I thought it was gonna be the next episode. And I'm like, oh, this is happening now.
You thought they were gonna drag it out?
Yeah. But then
you naive little boy.
He stole the eyeballs. I thought he was gonna chuck him in the hole or whatever. Before she could get to him. And then Marcus comes out of nowhere and just
chops her in half.
Chops her in the chest. And then he hears the voices. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That is the other thing.
Let her live. Yeah.
That's the other piece of the mystery.
Yeah.
I can't get yet. And there's so many, like, where did it originate from? Because the surgery that he got and like some kind of weird thing happened. Was it? Oh,
it's probably the dodecahedron is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. He was in the simulation for 13 years.
And there was a virus.
Could that be it? Is it the environment making him hallucinate things? Because his hallucinations are not shared.
The Spikehead guy also said that he heard
told.
Soul's voice.
Oh yeah.
And now he doesn't hear it anymore.
Yeah, so the virus is the one that told him to do that or something, and then it hopped ship to Marcus. Maybe
these are good questions. I can neither confirm nor deny what you're speculating.
Yeah.
Are all necromancers female robots? I don't know. I don't think it ever says.
Up to this point, though, we've only seen female necromancers.
I think their anatomy or construction is different, though. I don't think that Father can put the eyes in.
Right.
He's just he's a service model, and she's a necromancer model.
It's not in his programming. He's built for a completely different function.
He can't T-pose.
Nope.
But yeah, that's
you guys are asking really good questions.
And it's I mean, like, just to talk on, I'm kind of thinking ahead to next year. Next year, I can't recommend Fahrenheit 451 enough. That book
good.
is it is very applicable to today's society, where we are just blasted with so much entertainment and media. And one of the big parts of Fahrenheit 451 is like what gives art quality, what makes quality, like, media worth viewing and understanding. And I think the fact that we can ask questions and wonder about things, I would put Raised by Wolves as like this is a work of art, and an excellent storytelling. Moon Knight is fun.
Yeah,
Moon Knight is fun,
and sometimes you need some fun. But I wish these kids would put down their dang cell phones for 10 minutes so I could,
at least while you're talking, right?
Get them to read a book. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
We skipped over a little bit of how they attack Mother in the sim.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a smart plan. Although it was very strange that they, they set this all up and said it's going to be dangerous, and they're going to set the rapist criminal guy go as fodder, but then Marcus is the one that goes up there first, and it's really weird with Mother. Like, he's like, am I going to grab this thing or what? I thought it was very strange that they had this whole plan to have him go first, and then Marcus went first, and then
he knew that she wouldn't be able to use her sensors if she's in the sim. He knew she was blind.
Right, but why did he go first and I want to send somebody else in?
He's confident.
Sure.
Could be he's untrusting. Maybe the shield guy would unplug the android and be like, kill them and I'll work for you and blah blah blah.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, if I was a captain and I was like, this thing could wake up and destroy us in one fell swoop, I'm gonna send in cannon fodder to check and signal.
He does have emotional investment that the other people don't have, though. He wants to make sure it gets done so he can save his kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Anywho,
the show's so good. I'm so glad you guys like it.
It's really good.
Do you guys remember that web game? It's basically 20 questions. It's a genie, and you and then you answer questions. I was not able to fall asleep last night, and so I was playing that, and I thought of Father, and could not guess it.
Specifically, Father from Raised by Wolves.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if it's been updated. Has it, or is it constantly updated?
It asked me to input some of the information about the character after it couldn't get it. So
cool.
That's cool. It's learning.
It's kind of fun to kill 10 minutes on.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun. 20 questions is cool. Artificial intelligence is cool, right?
Yeah.
Jacob says the CGI in the show is really good. Yes, and it's for
It's
a
minimal.
sci-fi show. CGI is used very sparingly.
Yes.
So that when it is used, it's really good.
Exactly. It's not over the top CGI. It's just peppered in there when it needs to.
Everything about this show is very smart. The way that it's written so that they can put their money where they want to do it. The writing is clever. The acting is like.
I also fixed the exposure issues that I had with the first couple episodes. Everything was way blown out, overexposed, and you couldn't see the details in Father's face. Don't have that issue anymore. Just want to point that out.
I love this show, and I'm so excited to say more things.
Yes.
Yes. I just have to bite my tongue all the time.
Now I do too.
Well, if I knew that, Tanner, you were going to be watching more than one episode, I might have crammed in another one.
Well, I am going on a trip this week, and I probably won't have time or energy
There
to
you
watch
go.
something. So
So
I watched
watched
2
it
more
ahead.
episodes after
Spring
this.
break. You go to
Yeah.
Mexico.
Seattle,
Tijuana.
not Mexico.
Same place.
White. It's basically white Mexico.
White Mexico.
Pretty much same amount of beer and drugs, but a lot
Seattle.
more depression and flannel. So
Yeah, I didn't enjoy downtown Seattle very much when I went there.
we're hitting. So I'm doing a field trip. I'm chaperoning it.
Yeah, which is really cool. You told me about that.
Yeah. It's actually has
You and Parker. Yeah.
Has Parker been on Couch Party?
He has. Parker's been on Couch Party. He hasn't been on Best Gen.
So he was on Couch Party. It's our comedian friend. He's a teacher too, and they needed a chaperone who had all the background checks that teachers need. So he asked me if I wanted to go with their school to do it. So I have to make sure these teenagers don't die all week, but I get to go to museums and the Space Needle, and my hotel's paid for, and they're giving me a food stipend. So it was I gotta watch some teenagers, but I get a free trip. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So
Nice.
Just to avoid downtown Seattle at night.
yes, we're actually it's pretty much
it's scary.
The guy in charge of the trip was pretty much try and get back to the hotel before the sun goes down.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
We went there for thanks for joining us, David. Yeah, the show's over. But yeah, I went there with my wife. It had a presentation at a conference there, and so we were dead center downtown Seattle, right next to the conference center, which you presume is the place of the city you want to have look nice. And it looked nice during the day. So had a crazy guy yell that he wanted to eat my kids. So
yeah, that would be frightening. Nice.
We stayed in the hotel for most of that trip.
Yeah. We're lucky. Like I said, I've been to Seattle, but did all the touristy stuff.
No, it's got some really. It's a pretty city.
Great museums.
There's some really cool architecture too.
Yeah.
Because that's all I was looking at from the hotel window. Oh, these buildings are cool. I don't want to go outside though.
Yeah. So
I had my kids too. I could just
I when I was there, it was me and the girl I was dating, and so it was we were adults, so we didn't have to. We just had to worry about our own safety and not a small child that would maybe be too trusting of someone and unable to fend for themselves.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have fun. Looking forward to next week when I can talk about more stuff. Moon Knight episode 2, Raised by Wolves episode 7. Morbius comes out. I don't think anyone's planning on watching that, right? Is it already out? I think
it's already. I think it came out this weekend.
Yeah, they moved the date because I had it written down. It was supposed to come out this week. I think they moved it up.
I watched someone film the post-credits scene.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
What was it teasing? I'm assuming Venom. Maybe
Are we gonna spoil it?
I don't care.
So,
sure.
Okay, so if you care about the Sony kind of Marvel universe, get out.
Well, because they're going to do a Kraven movie, and
they've got a lot of plans. But so they have the mid-credits scene, and it shows, and it seriously looks like they just ripped footage from Spider-Man No Way Home.
Uh-huh.
It shows the little crack in the air where the villains are coming through, and then Michael Keaton appears in a jail cell.
But Michael Keaton is in the Morbius movie. There's a scene where he talks at least in the trailer, he talks
It's
to
just the
Morbius.
post-credit scene.
What?
Yeah. So he shows like, so the Doctor Strange magic put him there. And then it's a quippy one-liner that, like, it's not like, what? How am I here? Like, blah, blah, blah. The line that Michael Keaton says is, after he's been transported across dimensions, he says, well, I hope the food's better in this joint. And then
there is a line, he delivers a line in the trailer, though.
It's not there.
Okay.
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 And so then the mid-credit scene continues, and it's news exposition. It's a news reporter that gets on. It's like, there's a mysterious man that just appeared in an empty jail cell, and now he's been released, and blah, blah, blah. And then more credits, and then the final scene is Morbius driving out to the desert, and he gets out, and then the Vulture shows up, and he's like, I don't know how I got here, but I think Spider-Man has something to do with it.
Okay.
Maybe we should work together. And I don't think Morbius ever met Spider-Man in the like. It was obviously rewritten and recut, and it, like, the Vulture, like, it's not Michael Keaton like with the suit. It's all CGI, and he's got the helmet mask on.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like the voiceover sounds like someone doing a Michael Keaton impression.
Oh no!
Like, it's obvious that it was recut and like rewritten to crap.
So what confuses me though is because they want to do a Sinister Six movie, and they're introducing all of these Spider-Man villain solo movies, but in each of these solo movies, they're like the anti-hero. Like Venom is the good guy of his, and Morbius is a good guy. And so, like, how are they going to agree to fight Spider-Man? I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
I haven't watched any of the Venom movies though, because they didn't.
I saw the first Venom when I was on a overnight shift at my job at tech support.
Right.
When, like, outside of normal hours, when we're just there for emergencies. And so someone put it on. And it was, Tom Hardy was entertaining, but the rest of it was kind of dumb. Well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for watching our wonderful, dedicated handful of viewers. You guys are great. This show is kind of one of those... If you build it, maybe they'll show up eventually type things. But I like doing it, so we're not going to stop.
We'll see.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
See you next week.